Learning Spanish can be an exciting journey, but like any new adventure, there are a few pitfalls along the way. From grammar slip-ups to pronunciation blunders, well, it's pretty easy to make mistakes, especially when you're just starting out. But don't worry, because we are here to help you navigate these common traps, and we're gonna make your Spanish learning experience smoother and more enjoyable. Here are 10 mistakes to avoid when learning Spanish, or probably when learning any language. So, along with these tips, you can get on the right track. Yo soy Lorena, and as I've mentioned, today we're gonna learn 10 mistakes you need to avoid when learning Spanish. Okay, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button, save this video for future references. If you're ready, grab a seat, ponte cómodo, and let's get started. The first mistake that everybody makes when learning a language, of course, is translating directly from your mother tongue. In this case, translating directly from English. Remember that languages aren't one-to-one. Sometimes we cannot just translate it, One of the most common mistakes is trying to translate the sentence word for word from English to Spanish. This often leads to confusing or even hilarious results. Spanish has its own syntax, and some phrases simply don't translate directly. Let's see one example. If you want to say that you are hot, talking about temperature, you would say I am hot, right? That would be English. If you translate this directly to Spanish, estoy caliente, well, that doesn't mean the same thing, okay? So, if you want to say that you are hot, talking about temperature, then you will need to use the verb tener, and you would say tengo calor. So this is a perfect example, as you can see that you cannot translate it literally. Okay, so my tip for you to avoid this mistake is to learn the phrases they are used in context rather than just trying to construct sentence word by word. This will help you sound even more natural and avoid embarrassing misunderstandings. The second common mistake is misusing the verb ser and the verb estar. As these two verbs translate to the verb to be, it covers a lot of ground, but in Spanish you need to choose between ser or estar depending on the context. Remember that ser is used for permanent characteristics, while estar is more for temporary states. For example, avoid saying soy feliz if somebody asks how are you, like right now. Then you would say estoy feliz. Well, my tip for avoiding this mistake is just remember this rule, okay? Use ser for things that are more stable over the time, identity, origin, time, and use estar for conditions that will change, feelings, location, emotions. Or you can also watch all my other videos related to the verb ser or estar in this channel. Okay, the third mistake that I hear quite a lot is overusing muy and mucho. Also, not many people know when to use each other because this is very tricky, okay? Beginners often mix muy with mucho because they will translate the same in English. It would be very, many, a lot, but these words are not interchangeable. They are used different in different contexts, okay? So, for example, if you say tengo muy dinero, you would say I have very money. So that's weird, right? You would say tengo mucho dinero, for example. Or estoy mucho feliz. That won't work. Estoy muy feliz. So my tip for you would be use muy with adjectives and adverbs, muy bueno, for example, and use mucho with nouns and verbs, mucho tiempo, mucho trabajo. Again, we have a whole video on this topic. If you want to gain more confidence, just go and check it out. Common mistake number 4, ignoring accents. Well, guys, they are not just decorative, right? Accents in Spanish change the meaning of the words, so ignoring them can lead to confusion. For example, we have papa, potato, papa, and we have papa, dad, papa, papa. Two different things, right? Okay, well, so for example, these are common mistakes also when writing or when speaking, so just try to avoid them. My tip for you is to enable your Spanish keyboard settings to make adding accents easier, or also start to read in Spanish so you can identify when to use the accents. Another common mistake is using por and para incorrectly. Both can mean for in English, but they are used again in different contexts, okay? Por usually refers to reasons, duration, or means, while para normally is used for purposes, destinations, or deadlines. For example, I often hear trabajo para muchas horas. I work for many hours. But that's not correct. The correct would be trabajo por muchas horas. So my tip to you is think of para as a destination or purpose, and think of por as the journey or the reason. Another common mistake is mispronouncing the J and the H sounds, because it's not English. Our sounds in Spanish are very, very different, okay? In Spanish, the letter J is pronounced like ja, okay? Very strong. And the H, well, the H is silent. So mispronouncing this can make your speech a little bit difficult to understand. For example, if you say jugar, to play, jugar, right? Not jugar, but jugar. Or for example, if you say hermano, not hermano, right? Hermano. So just try and practice sounds like jamón, hombre, joven, hielo, all that stuff. So you can start just remembering that sounds. Another very common mistake is forgetting to make nouns and adjectives agree. They need to match. In Spanish, nouns and adjectives must agree in gender, masculine or feminine, and in number, singular or plural. Sometimes people often forget this rule, and this can lead to awkward sentences. For example, if you say something like el casa grande, then you're not matching, right? So you will have to say la casa grande since it's feminine. So my tip for you is always check if your noun and adjectives match, whether they are plural, feminine, singular, or masculine. Practice with simple sentences so you can get used to the agreement rules. Hello guys, this is a quick reminder that our favorite language learning app has changed its name. Now you can find it as Learn. So go right now to your App Store or Play Store, type Learn, and you're gonna find it right away, okay? So remember, Learn. Now download it and you can start learning multiple languages. You can learn Spanish, French, even German. So what are you waiting? Download Learn right now. Okay, another common mistake would be to use the verb gustar incorrectly. This one's tricky. Gustar doesn't mean to like in the traditional sense as you guys know it. Actually, it literally means to be pleasing. So it works backwards compared to English, okay? For example, I like pizza. You would say, me gusta la pizza. Like, pizza is pleasing to me. So it's a little bit tricky, and you just need to practice it out. Think of it as Okay, so my tip for you is just to think of it as what pleases you. Use me gusta for singular things that please you and me gustan for plural things that please you. Okay, another mistake is neglecting listening practice. Many learners focus on reading and writing, but they just don't listen. This can make real conversations very challenging because spoken Spanish is often faster and we use slang and we speak Spanish in many countries. So, for example, probably you are not going to be able to understand a question because you've only practiced reading or the answers. So, my tip to you is just to listen to Spanish podcasts, watch movies with Spanish subtitles, or just use language apps that include listening exercises. The more you listen, the better you'll understand. The 10 mistake that you definitely need to avoid is giving up to ese. Man, consistency is key. Learning a language takes time and effort, and it is very easy to get discouraged, especially if you feel like you're not making progress. But remember, very small steps is progress. Don't quit because you made a mistake or because you struggle with the conversations. My tip for you is to set small, manageable goals and celebrate your achievements. Practice a little bit every day. You can use the Unacademy language app to practice a little bit so you can continue making steps, right? Just remember that mistakes are part of the process. Okay? My bonus tip for you guys is to enjoy the journey. It's more than just learning words. Spanish is a vibrant, beautiful language. It's rich in culture and history. So just enjoy the process of learning and exploring new ways of expressing yourself. It is not just about memorizing vocabulary, but to connect with a whole new world. So guys, avoid these common mistakes and you will be on your way to mastering Spanish. Okay guys, if you got any other tips based on your experience that you want to share, please just drop them in the comments below. So, buena suerte, sigue practicando. Yo soy Lorena y nos vemos a la siguiente. Adiós.